Hello, my name is Maria Bezubova and you're at my channel Fertilizers Jazz. Here we talk about events, trends, technologies in the world of fertilizers and agriculture. Please subscribe to the channel, put like to this video, and let's jazz! Today I'm thrilled to reveal to you a very interesting person who has very vast and versatile experience in fertilizers industry and currently joined a very interesting company. We will discuss many hot topics related to agri and fertilizers market in South and Central European countries, as well as more philosophical questions related to trading and its place in our world. I am happy to host Ofelia Nalbant, Senior Regional Trader for Fertilizers and Specialty Products at COFCO International. I am very glad to have you, Ofelia, and thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you, Maria. I'm thrilled to be here today. A good day to you and to your loyal listeners of Fertilizers Jazz.
Thank you very much. Ofelia, you are definitely a star in fertilizers industry for many years. And I'm sure that our viewers know you, as well as COFCO, of course. But still, I would like to ask you to tell me a couple of words about COFCO and your role specifically there. Because it is not a long time that you joined the company, and I think it will be interesting to hear what is exactly your role in there.
Thank you very much, Maria. Yes, absolutely. I'm still thrilled by the new beginning. COFCO International, as anybody knows, it's one of the global leaders in agribusiness. We are about 12,000 employees serving farmers and customers around the globe. We move around 120 million tons of agri commodities, mostly grains and oilseeds. In this region, we do both services, meaning we offer origination services to our partners in the region, collecting grains and oilseeds into COFCO silos located along the Danube, as well as using our barges and inland silo, everything going to the port of Constanța, where we have some super efficient port terminals. And because of this great logistic network, and because the market demands it, we extended also these services by distributing fertilizers. Just imagine barges going down the Danube from Hungary, Bulgaria, Serbia, Moldova, Romania to the port of Constanța, and then the same barges returning to the same markets with fertilizers, because the port of Constanța is an important hub for fertilizers. My role as part of COFCO International regional team is to contribute for the development of the fertilizers distribution, as well as together with my colleagues, as you said, these special products, which does not mean specialty fertilizers. It means commodities which are produced and traded in smaller volumes, like feed peas, sorghum, durum, wheat, oats, rye, meals, oils. And we want practically to serve completely our partners by giving good outlets and again, strong logistics to export for the products which they have. In addition, I have also a great opportunity because COFCO International gifted me with, how should I call it, one lifetime opportunity. And I can contribute to a project which is for me a lifetime dream, I can call it. It's an application. It's called Up by COFCO International. It's a very simple application. It's easy to use, and it brings in the palm of our partners the market, meaning that by this application, any professional can sell grains and oilseeds to COFCO International, as well as can purchase fertilizers. In my 35 years in this market, I learned that the most important ingredient and the base of everything we do is trust. And this application is the absolute pillar for building further the trust with our partners because it brings transparency, efficiency, simplicity. Everybody from our partners can see the prices we buy fertilizer, we buy grains, and we sell fertilizers. So, Maria, as you know, I'm a commodity trader and I continue doing this job, being proud today because I'm part of COFCO International regional team, as well as humble because I can continue to serve the partners in the region.
That is very impressive, really, Ofelia. So I need to dig into your vast experience, of course, as a commodity trader. Can you please tell me a couple of words about trading itself? What is it for you? How do you see it?
Well, we all trade because we all negotiate. Each one of us, everything we use, everything we consume, everything we touch, it's traded. If we look at the global scale, of course, the biggest chunk, the biggest part is covered by energy, coal and oil, about 60% of the total, followed by metals, 20%, and agri-commodities, 20%. If you open this discussion, actually it's more than a passion for me, and I'm absolutely sure that trade it's one of the human pillars along the whole human civilization and history. And I'm saying that because I love history and because I try to dig in it, and I was thrilled to read other opinions by which without commodity trade, actually, Maria, we could not have had this conversation today. And without commodity trade, each one of us could not have this incredible good life as we know it and as we get used to it today. Without commodity trade, definitely we can say that our world would be smaller, would be hungrier, would be poorer, would be slower, and very likely less human than today.
Thank you. That's for sure. Very, very sharp, let's say, definition of it. Indeed, commodity trading has shaped the development of us, of our whole society from the beginning of our civilization. That's for sure. And it's not just an economic activity, as you mentioned, and it's being a driver of all key basic things which are key for us as human beings: culture, cooperation, technology, evolution. How do you see it? Can you please elaborate a bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Trade is part of what made us humans, and I cannot not think of what anthropologists argue that Homo sapiens outcompeted other humanoids like the Neanderthals because Homo sapiens was better at cooperation and trade. If we were meeting 300,000 years ago, I was bartering with you maybe some stone tools and some shells, some pigments, and this far away, long time ago barter gave the possibility to Homo sapiens to develop language, planning, trust, because to have this exchange, I have to trust you, abstract thinking also, which are definitely key traits of our species. Trade was practically evolution in real-time action. Then if we think about what followed in our humans' history, then of course agriculture happened 12,000 years ago. And together with agriculture, we start having food surpluses. These food surpluses led to specialization, because if I produce the food, then you have had the time maybe to make some tools or wove some clothes. And the relation between us then developed because of the barter and further on trade. And we had the ancient cities like Uruk and Babylon, which developed tremendously because trading in these hubs was the most important activity for grains, for wool, for tools, for metals, anything you can think of. Without the trade, the agriculture would have stayed local in our tribe. With trade, we've got cities, we've got writing, we've got laws, and mathematics. The first writing system, like cuneiform, was invented just to record the trade transactions, shipment of barley, of silver, of livestock. Then we were forced to invent numbers, weights, measurements, and all this evolved in standardized commodity trade up to today. Then we got the coins, the first money, which allowed anonymous and long distance trade. I think somewhere in 7th century BC. So all this human accounting and any other abstract system was created in order to support trade. Further on, we started to build roads and connections around the globe. Just mention the Silk Road, the Roman Empire roads, and of course the eldest one, which is Indus, Mesopotamia. And on these roads, we moved commodities from a continent to another, either spices or metals or salt or amber or wool. All this we were exchanging for power, for culture, for technology. It was the early globalization of our planet. And commodity trade helped humans helped us to think beyond our own tribe, our own village, and to expand our thinking on planetary networks. Then we have the big explorers like Columbus, like Amiral Zheng He. All of them were looking for new trade routes to move the spices, the gold, the silk, or the sugar. And the need for trade better and trade faster drove everything: navigation, shipbuilding, cartography, developed the overland routes, which turned later into railroads, shipping lines, cables, container ports. Everything that humanity invented was somehow related and created to move commodities in a more efficient way. Industrial age, digital age, all the development which was powered by the trade with coal, with iron, with cotton, now with rare earth, with lithium, with copper, with semiconductors. All the products which are traded globally scaled Homo sapiens actually from a villager to a planet shaper. So commodity trade is not just about money. It's about how we humans grew up together, developed together. It's written in our DNA. I'm fully convinced, and it's absolutely crucial, and was the driver which was enabling us to collaborate in large scale. And without large scale collaboration, we could not be where we are today. We stepped on the moon, we split the atom, and we are the most powerful species on the planet. Now, from the evolutionary perspective, Homo sapiens dominated mainly because we said we were able to scale cooperation. Despite or different from other humanoids like Neanderthals, who maybe were smart, were bigger than us, were stronger than us, but were not capable to network. Therefore, we were the sapiens one, used to be adaptive, flexible, make alliances, share between us goods, trade, barter, exchange knowledge, and become in the end the most powerful just because we are able to work together.
Yeah, indeed, I fully agree with you with this beautiful view upon quite a difficult and the question that provokes a lot of discussions, I would say, also in our industry. And I would like to move from what happened many years ago and built us as humans to more kind of today. And there is one interesting question. You a bit touched on that already. I would like to elaborate more. That is always on my mind when I'm doing my, let's say, day-to-day business. And when I think about commodity trading. So it is about trading fertilizers and grains simultaneously. You already mentioned that COFCO obviously is doing that, and the vast majority actually of large commodity traders are doing that globally. So what do you think, how is the value created in such trading? And how are the prices connected between agri-commodities and fertilizers? Are they connected at all?
Wow, it's a very hard topic because it sounds easy. We grow grains using fertilizers. In nature, grains, the plants are growing, are dying, they are going back into the soil, and the nutrients still in their tissues would give food to the next plant to develop and grow. In modern agriculture, of course, we harvest grains. With each ton we harvest half a ton of nutrients. So we have to give back to the soil the nutrients we harvested together with the grains and oilseeds. And in theory and fundamentally, fertilizers used for growing the grains should move together. But if we look at the evolution of the prices of grains and fertilizers, we observe some differences, out of which I would like to mention two. There is a difference in amplitude. Fertilizers prices move sharper, higher, faster than the grains. And the second difference is that there is a delta of time between one product price swings and the other one swings. So I was trying to explain to myself why we have these differences. And I can mention only some of the reasons. And I would love to hear more opinions on that going forward. One reason would be the story which I like to call supply and demand, chicken and egg. And it goes the following: when the grain price is good, then farmers are, of course, stimulated, encouraged to use more grains, use more fertilizers. And using more fertilizers, they would produce more grain, so the grain price would decrease because of the high production, and we consider that there is a perfect weather condition. With lower grain prices, then we have a lower consumption of nutrients, which would drive nutrients, fertilizers prices low. And with the lower consumption of fertilizers, we have less grains, which price would be then pushed back to the heights because of the low production and high demand. So the cycle of up and down between grains stimulating consumption of fertilizers and then destroying the demand because the price of grains is too cheap, this cycle goes on and on. If we look at the fundamental drivers of the two type of commodities, then we see that grain prices are mainly moved by weather. If we look at the last 50 years price evolution of grains, we see that drought was the main driver of grain prices up. But if we look at fertilizers prices, we see that they are much more connected to energy, related to energy deeper, stronger. That's why every time gas price increase, energy increase, we have these spikes on fertilizers prices. The third reason I imagine it works on these differences is the fact that we consume near the location of production location, near the place where we produced these grains. While in fertilizers case, we use only 40% of the fertilizers produced nearby, and consequently, 60% of all the fertilizers produced are moved around the globe from the production to the consumption sites, being therefore more sensitive to freight rates, logistic barriers, geopolitics. And I'm not talking about volume, because of course 60% of the total production of fertilizers, it's much smaller than 20% of the total production of grains and oilseeds, but I'm talking about the share from the total production. And because price, it's our intersubjective reality, it's what we all believe in this moment that the price of any product is, then we value more the situations, the events, the actions happening beyond our borders, beyond our control. And because we have 60% of fertilizers there, they are more sensitive. The price of fertilizers is more sensitive versus the grain price. How we bring value with trading? Well, the value in trading is created by three main reasons, and this is our day-to-day job. It's time, it's place, and form. To create value, a trader would buy and sell at two different moments in time. A trader would buy and sell, or the other way around, at two different places, or number three, would transform the product and create therefore value.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. You mentioned these cycles. I fully agree with that. Low grains, less fertilization, less demand. And that's exactly, I think, where we are now when we speak, especially in our, let's say, home markets. Grains are very low, fertilizers at the same time globally, because of all those different reasons you mentioned, are high. So I would like to move to the situation in these markets, which I call home markets, because it is South and Central Europe. It's where you operate, and I'm Ukraine also. Think that we are from the same region. So how do you see the agricultural season going in your markets? What do you feel in the market in terms of feedback from the farmers, so from real growers, how they see these prices, how they see these affordability ratios? What do you hear there?
Very complicated moment now. Even if we look at the scale of the last, I don't know, 50 years, out of which 35 are free market, in which farmers were only growing and growing and developing. Now, for the last 3 years, there are continuous challenges. Actually, 5 years if we put in the pandemic situation too. So it's not only the challenges that you mentioned, but also in addition, here in Balkans, the farmers were super challenged by the extreme weather conditions. We had some terrible summer droughts. We had and we have now hot, very hot, continuous hot days, maximum temperature for long number of days, slaughtering practically the spring crops. Also, we had late winter frosts in the last year, and these were also decreasing the yields and were also impacting negative the quality of the, not only the quantity, but also the quality of the grains. Fertilizers are now extremely high versus grain and oilseeds prices. And the farmer in Balkans, the farmers are not impacted only by the huge unaffordability, but also by the effects of these weather extreme conditions. So they get lower yields, lower crops, and in some cases, there are crops which are completely lost. Of course, there are solutions because there is a solution for any problem we can think of, but the solution, which can be, let's say, efficient irrigation system, requires a larger support and participation in order to happen. I cannot forget last year terrible drought and heat in the summer, which completely slaughtered the sunflower seeds and the corn crop. Consequently, the farmers tried to adapt. And last autumn, they were sowing larger acreage of barley, rapeseed, and wheat, which are almost harvested now. The yields looks to be satisfactory, but we see that there are already some reactions, indications of lower nutrients application and maybe lower plant protection application. And we see it in the quality, not in the quantity of the product harvested. So to conclude, we see farmers extremely concerned today, and their concerns are simply related what to do, when it's better to plant, what would be my ideal sowing planning, plant rotation, what hybrids to use, what technology to use in order to cope to weather and to market. The inputs grain price ratio, unfortunately, it's extremely bad. So concerns and worries and a lot of questions that are still waiting to be answered exactly on how better to adapt to this situation. I think we are now, Maria, at the same level of unaffordability as we have been in 2022, if we look at the grain prices and fertilizers prices. So the situation is extremely challenging for the farmers in Balkans.
Yes, I agree. We have it's very similar situation in Ukraine, unfortunately. Yes, you already touched a bit about what farmers think and how they try to adapt in terms of fertilizers, but let's speak more about that. Because, of course, the strategies that farmers use for different fertilizers, let's say segments, they are different. Because, for example, nitrogen fertilizers, farmer is quite limited in what he can do. He cannot go without nitrogen because otherwise the yield will be close to zero, right? So in phosphates, however, you can play a bit around, and that's what I see is happening at the moment. So can you please tell more specifically from Balkan markets, what do you see in different segments? Like in nitrogen, nitrogen is very expensive at the moment and seems like it will stay elevated, right? Because of all this more industry-related events, I would say, that we live through now, like Indian tender with very high prices, this escalated tensions in the Middle East that brought prices up but didn't let them go down afterwards. So can you please play with these figures, let's say around nitrogen, phosphates, and NPKs, which are the main segments, and tell how farmers try to adapt the strategies?
We have seen from last autumn lower application. Maybe it was 20-25% less on nitrogen, and maybe it went up to 50% less on phosphates due to the low affordability and the effects of the drought and heat as described before. Also, as you said, Maria, absolutely correct. There is a migration for cheaper formulation, lighter formulations. And in this migration, the big loser are the DAPs and MAPs, the phosphates, in favor of NPs and NPKs. There is a clear demand for NPs and NPKs with sulfur, which is pretty strong in the market. And it's not only that, it's also that the market became very spot and very fragmented. There are practically at farm level no purchases in advance, but everything is spot. The forward almost disappeared. Or the farm level. Every day, to me, I want you to deliver it to me today, maximum tomorrow. So the problem I see here is that if a farmer would like a specific formulation today or tomorrow, it might not be available yet. The vessel maybe will arrive later. So yes, he will be able to find something similar, but not precisely what he wanted. There is a huge stretch on logistic because only spot market at application date, of course, creates a huge demand for trucks and for products just in a tiny window of time. On the other hand, all the market participants, because of the price evolution, because of the decrease in consumption, are very cautious. Importers, traders, distributors, small retailers, everybody on the chain got just smaller and smaller position than into a normal year. I'm not saying that there is no product into the market. It is product into the market, but with fragmented market, with smaller inventories inland, then the whole process becomes harder and the logistic more expensive. So I don't want to put hay on the fire, but with high fertilizers prices, unfortunately, we have also high logistic cost. What people do in hard times and what I see with the farmers happening all the time, whenever it's hard, whenever it's turbulent, they go back to basic, meaning they use what they know the better. They lower, unfortunately, the application rates, or in some cases, unfortunately, there is no application at all, which will reflect into soil health and yields in the years to follow, in the crops to follow. So it's not a rosy situation. It's a very tough one. It's a very serious one for many of the farmers. And one more thought here, because the crops obtained now from the winter crops, the yields were actually good. I worry that some farmers might say, well, with lower application of fertilizers last autumn, maybe 50% of normal, and as you said, Maria, they never skip nitrogen. They might skip totally or partially phosphates. I still got good yields. So I can continue in decreasing the application. And this is something which disturbs the consistent, correct treatment of the soil in order to remain productive and, of course, healthy.
Exactly. And unfortunately, some of the farmers will just have to do it, because if prices for grains and oilseeds stay as they are now, I'm afraid that there will be some guys who will just cannot afford it. The other hot topic, which adds tension to what we already discussed with current situation, is unprecedented global political turbulence that will inevitably change fertilizers import flows into Europe. How do you, first of all, evaluate the immediate effect? Is there any immediate effect that you see in the market?
I don't think that there is any immediate effect. I believe that the markets always find a way to adapt to this situation and absolutely to every new situation that may occur. There was product into the market already, pretty well supplied market, so there is no immediate effect. That is a good thing, because it will give to the market participant time to adapt without any real impact. We talk about volumes which can be covered from a lot of origins, from a lot of countries. Just to mention a few. Of course, we talk about the EU big producers like Yara, like LAT Nitrogen, which have large volumes, which have, of course, great quality of the products, with the limitation that the production cost is still high in Europe due to high energy prices in Europe. But of course, the strong export capacity from North Africa. I expect maybe more Egyptian, more Algerian products into the market, as they are important producers. They have high export capacity, and there are absolutely good shipping routes to South Europe, Italy, Spain, Romania, Greece. On phosphates, I'm expecting an increase of Moroccan origin. Of course, because it's the world top phosphate exporter. Of course, because it's the EU partner under Green Energy Partnership. Of course, because the products are already well known in all European countries. There are strong shipping routes, and I believe that the volume from North Africa will increase. Looking at smaller sellers to the European market, which might increase going forward, maybe United States, because it's a strong, reliable supplier, because the products are great, because they have a strong production capacity. With the limitation that, of course, the freights are higher from states to EU. Then I would look to Saudi Arabia. I would look to Qatar. I would look to Oman. I would look to Azerbaijan as potential suppliers of nitrogen fertilizers. And last but not least, of course, potentially higher volume from Turkey, because it's so close. Actually is in Balkans, it's here, and it's growing continuously fertilizers hub in the region. And all these changes in flow to happen, of course, we need to let the traders do their job, and they will do their job. I'm absolutely sure about it. And I'm sad to hear from time to time, even after 35 years of free market in my region, in Balkans, that traders have no other role than just increase fertilizers prices and decrease grain prices, when the reality it's exactly the opposite, because the trading environment is super competitive, and each trading company will do their best, will try the most in order to offer the best prices for grains as well as the best prices for fertilizers. How they do it? It's by mastering the logistic between the best fitting origins and the best fitting destination. And another myth would be that commodity trading is just gambling, just speculation, which is 100% wrong. Because first of all, speculations exist and they are beneficial. Who are the speculators in the commodity markets? Well, anybody who wants to hedge the risk, being the producers like farmers or miners or consumers like a wheat mill or a compound feed or an airline company. They do it in order to manage price risk. What commodity traders do, they analyze the market, they master the logistic, they know in detail the supply and demand fundamental. Really, it's not a gamble and it's not a chance to perform these services. Another myth about commodity traders that I want to correct, it's that they manipulate prices, and absolutely the reality is the opposite, because our market it's not only super regulated, but it's transparent. All the major exchanges are the proof for how transparent and regulated the market is. And the prices we see in the market of grains or fertilizers are just the normal reflection of supply and demand, weather, geopolitics, freights, and all the drivers that we know. And the last myth I would like to bust is that all commodities are the same, which is wrong, because even for the same type of commodity, there are differences. And this is the job of the commodity trader specialized in that commodity, to know exactly the quality in each origin and where the best destination would be, in what timing. For instance, if you look at corn from Brazil, it may look the same like the corn from Ukraine, and it's not. It has different specification. Or you may think that a refinery wants crude oil, but you have to be attentive because each refinery prefer a specific type of crude oil. So traders are the ones which are matching exact demand with the best supply for the respective demand. Reality is that with today situation, market situation, today new tools, if we talk about digitalization, the physical movement of goods, which requires shipping, storage, loading vessels, discharging vessels, remain essential to physical trade. With all the new digitalization and data input, now the traders' challenge is to blend, to mix, to best use both together.
Fully agree. 100% agree. There are so many myths that we need to bust actually, because every part of the chain between the producer and the user of fertilizers has definitely its value and has its own place. So thank you very much for this myth bustering, let's say. And in general, thank you for this brilliant discussion that we had, which I would like to finalize with some more personal rather than professional questions, small blitz questions to you, because I think it's very important to show a bit of a personal side also in every professional, even of 35 years life, let's say, in the industry, and especially of 35 years in the industry. So my first blitz question to you would be, after all these 35 years in the fertilizers and grains industry, what is that still surprises and inspires you?
Wow, inspiring. In trading, what makes commodity trading so inspiring for many of us, I believe it's that it never stops. Even in war times, pandemics, natural disasters, the commodity trade keeps adapting and keeps on going. Number two, it's invisible, but it's everywhere, and it's essential. From our morning coffee to our phone battery. That it is intelligence, and traders like neurons detect any imbalance and reroute flows instantly. It needs fast adaptation. It evolves. Think about the green ammonia, the circular economy, the carbon neutral shipping trade. It's learning to be sustainable. It connects all of us, it connects humanity. Imagine that there is an invisible thread which connects a farmer in Brazil with a port worker in Emirates and a baker in France, are all connected via trade. And I think that commodity trade, it's the way the globe, the earth, it's balancing the needs, and it's creating actually this beautiful life, which I call abundance for so many of us. It's connecting, it's correcting, and it's keeping the civilization alive. The second question, what is surprising me? Well, I'm surprised every day, Maria. Maybe you will laugh about it, but I'm really surprised every day, just because the reaction of the market is always different from what I initially thought. And why that it's happening, it's because any trader every morning would start the day, let's say, from zero, neutral, will read the reports, we'll look at the S&Ds, we'll listen to podcasts and channels like yours. And after all this research, we'll have an opinion. He might be neutral, so we'll do nothing, we'll wait. The trader might be bullish, so he would like to buy and become long, or bearish, he would like to sell and become short. He has these three options. Like any trader, all the other traders on the planet would do the same every day. So if we think that there are about 1 billion people which are working in trade, but it's not only that. Except the ones which are working directly, we have half of the active population working indirectly in trade. And in the end, each one of us every day would buy, would sell, or essentially will abstain from buying and selling. So in my opinion, if my opinion was right, to go long, to go short, or to abstain, then the position is making money. If my opinion was wrong, then of course it's losing money. The must to do in commodity trading is to be at least 51% right. That's all about commodity trading. And the market continues to surprise me every day because every day there are new and new situations and continuous changes which force us, oblige us to adapt, to learn, to develop.
Cool.
Keeps us so alive.
Cool. Yes, definitely cool. You have busted today already many myths regarding trading itself. But I would like to ask you my second question to bust one more myth. Which is that one myth about fertilizers or the fertilizers industry in whole that you would like to buster? What it is the one?
Wow. I just heard recently that fertilizers are poison, are bad, and are the same for 100 years. And I would like to bust because it's totally wrong. First of all, cannot be bad because 50% of the nitrogen we humans have in our tissues comes from fertilizers. So we are not bad, definitely. Cannot be bad and cannot be poison because we harvest fertilizers from nature and we return it to the soil. And being so clearly connected to soil health, absolutely cannot be something bad or something to poison. To the second one, that fertilizers are the same for 100 years. Yes, they were created, nitrogen fertilizers based on the Haber-Bosch process, which happened 120 years ago. And they were born from war and now are feeding peace because initially the Haber-Bosch process, which produced ammonia, the key for nitrogen fertilizers, was developed for explosive, but it's a technology which sustain life on Earth. And without fertilizers, we have been 4 billion people instead of more than 8 billion people. Then it's not developing, it cannot be wrong than that. You know, even NASA studies how to use fertilizers in space and how to grow in microgravity food on space stations and the future missions on Mars. Fertilizers are part of our journey to the stars. It's not something that it's not developing. In addition, we further develop fertilizers. Think about the green ammonia projects. Producing nitrogen fertilizers from renewable energy instead of the fossil fuels. And therefore, fertilizers may become part of the climate solution, not just the problem as of today. Then just applying AI sensors for our principle, meaning the right amount of fertilizers, the right amount of nutrients, where is needed, how much is needed, and in the manner that it's proper for the soil, it's decreasing tremendously the runoffs that harms the rivers and oceans. So yes, fertilizer, it's going high tech with huge environmental benefits. Also, to mention just one more innovation, think about the new fertilizers used soil, which are using soil microbes to natural fix nitrogen. And there are a lot of companies which are developing carbon negative fertilizers, which can capture and sequester CO2 while in the same time they are feeding the crops. So maybe the next fertilizer revolution would be biological, regenerative. I wish everybody would think that fertilizers are not just few bags of nutrient, because in fertilizers we have a blend of science, geopolitics, technology, sustainability, and a lot of future. It feeds the world, it drives innovation, It's now at the heart of humanity fight against climate change and food insecurity. So to conclude, fertilizers are absolutely amazing, under huge development, and we cannot live without them.
Nice one. Yes, nice one. And finally, my third question is this. How would you explain to your grandma what is your job as a fertilizer trader?
Huh. Um, my grandma loved music, and she took me from early my early years to great symphonies, to the concert halls, to the opera. And because I have this image about the global trade, like a huge orchestra of instruments, I would try to explain to my grandma that the commodity trade is like the orchestra of civilization, in which I only play a tiny, tiny, tiny role and instrument, maybe with strings. And this huge orchestra, it's providing a fabulous symphony together. And like in real orchestras, you have harmony, and in the end, it's the music of energy, food, materials, and everything should be in perfect synchrony. If I have to describe to my grandma the orchestra, then I would say that the conductor would be fundamental supply, demand, price, maybe interest rates, maybe forecast. I would tell her that the string instruments like violins and cellos would be agri commodities because are constant, are rhythmic, are foundational. Think about wheat, corn, soy every day in our life. Then the bass, the trumpets, the horns would be energy, would be because of the powerful and dramatic sounds. And there we have the oil, the gas, the coal. Maybe the percussion would be logistic. Boom, boom, boom. We have the ports, the trucks, the trains, the barges, the ships, everything with the rhythm. The woodwinds would be metals and minerals because they are subtle, they are tiny but vital. Think about copper, aluminium, lithium. The music sheet, well, where we have the notes would be the trade agreements, the contract, the laws, the regulation, the Incoterms, and the musicians would be all the market participants, from farmers, miners, producers, traders, financiers, captain of the vessels transporting commodities. The tuning process of the orchestra would be the risk management and hedging tools to balance, to correct. And in the end, the applause, it's what we have today, the civilization functioning smoothly. We have lights on, we have crops in the field, we have bread in the oven and in the shops, and all the machines are running because this huge composition, which is played on worldwide scale with millions of players, it's playing in the right time. Everyone is part of this orchestra, whether it's growing, moving, storing, processing, financing, consuming, and timing, it's everything. If I missed a shipment or I delay the shipment, it's like I missed a note. You hear it immediately into the market. And the harmony of the market comes from coordination, not perfection. It's impossible to be perfect. There are delays, there are price shocks, there are shortages, there are wrong notes that we sing, but the system adapts and keep playing. There is no way I would try and anybody would try to sing solo. It's impossible to sing solo a symphony. It's only done by collaboration of all the people who are in commodity trade. So I would tell to my grandma that commodity trade is the music of human progress, and it requires precision, rhythm, trust. As I started our discussion, that it's a living masterpiece that we perform every day, and it's a symphony that we can play only all together.
I think it's a perfect note to finalize our discussion. And thank you so much for all the insights and for all your knowledge that you shared with myself and our viewers. I'm sure it will be so helpful to many, many people who will be watching us. And I wish you and COFCO a lot of success. And I really hope to see you here again in some time to discuss maybe the results of agricultural season in your home markets, or just to chat again about the role and position of us as traders in this orchestra and this symphony. Thank you again, Ofelia. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you for watching. As usually, I will leave all credentials of Ofelia and COFCO International in the comments. Please let me know in the comments which other questions related to regional markets where Ofelia operates, or any other questions related to her vast experience in the industry you would like me to uncover, and I will be glad to do so next time with her. Please subscribe to the channel, put like to this video, push the bell in order not to miss any updates, and see you soon.